Yes, sir. It's another week, which means it's another opportunity to create some content here in our lovely, beautiful new digs at Brand Star Studio on Paper Route, presented by I Am Athlete. Ashley Nicole Moss. Before we even jump into sports, before we even jump into news of the day, maybe this is news of the day. Can we talk a little bit about Beyoncé?
Yes, we can. We sure can talk about Queen Bee.
Are you a part of the Beehive?
I've been a Beehive member since I was a little girl. Yeah, so I'm a proud Beehive member. I've been there since, I feel like birth almost, since she's been a Destiny's Child. But it's just gotten more intense the older I've gotten. So yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I'm here. Did you go?
No, I didn't go. So was it last night? Because you like to post content later.
No,
like,
I do.
Late.
No, it was Friday night.
Okay.
At Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, and it was, as you know, Miami in August. It was extremely humid, but even she was making faces like on stage, like because she's in these elaborate costumes, and you could see she was even like warm.
Right.
But it was amazing. Jay-Z was there. Blue Ivy performed on stage with her during their
She's getting
little
better.
segment. Yeah, she's so good, so confident. The crowd loved her. It was just amazing it was amazing. Every time she puts on a show, it's worth the money. She has 3 hours, multiple costume changes. She's actually singing.
Changes.
The mic is on, as Prince used to say. My mic is actually on. She's actually singing, dancing.
Are we certain of that?
Yeah, I mean, she was singing, like singing. Like in her first costume was nothing but vocals. Like she wasn't even dancing. It was just nothing but straight singing.
Would you consider her more of an entertainer or a vocalist?
Both.
You think she's both?
I think she's a vocalist at times, but overall, I would say she's an entertainer.
Right.
Yeah, but the girl can sing. So for people who don't think she can sing, she can sing. Just want to put that out there.
Love it, love it. All right, so we have some news of the day. Ashley, I don't know if this weekend, well, hell, I'll say it. I don't think this was a great sports weekend.
Okay.
I mean, no basketball, obviously. Well, a little basketball, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
You got Team
Anthony
USA.
Edwards went off.
But who's watching that?
I watched it.
No, you did not.
I did watch it.
Stop it.
I'm a big Anthony Edwards fan. I was home. I happened to turn it on. I watched it. I haven't been watching any of the other games. I will say that. But this particular one I watched, and I'm glad I watched this one. He went off.
I feel like, even I feel bad because we talk a lot about football, and I'm not watching preseason, right? And I feel like I'm letting the people down.
Admit it.
I can't.
Okay, cool.
Because you got games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
When I say I don't watch preseason, because I'm like, it doesn't matter, it doesn't count, and everyone calls me, you're a casual football fan. But I'm glad an actual football player does not watch preseason. Thank you.
But we have to prepare for the season, and I think what we have to do is we maybe go watch film. You got to figure out a way to understand what's happening in practice, because when week one come, we need to know what's happening outside of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills and the teams that we know are going to be at the top. The Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles. There's so many more players.
But you're also watching it through a different lens. I think as a normal just viewer of the sport, you just have to be so thirsty for football to really watch preseason. Like if you are like playing in it or even like just being part of preseason from an athlete standpoint, I totally get it. But like as a fan, you'll catch me after Labor Day. Like I'm cool.
Well, news of the day, and welcome to Paper Route. Little banter between Ashley and I, a little all over the place. But we're going to start with some news of the day. Ashley, combat sports. It was UFC.
Okay.
Was it UFC 290 or they at 300? I don't know what the hell where they're at now, but there was a big fight. Sean O'Malley and also Sterling. What's his first name? Aljamain Sterling. He goes down in the second round. Did you watch this?
I didn't. But I do like Sean O'Malley. We actually met him. I actually met him for the first time at Radio Row in Arizona.
Yep.
And I enjoyed him. He had a cool vibe about him. He's somebody I could see myself hanging out with just as a friend. He has a cool energy about him, but I did not watch. No,
well,
to be honest
this was a big fight for him. So let me break it down for you. And maybe Wu, if you're mic'd up, you can jump in and explain to us as well, because you have a better handle around UFC and combat sports. But Sean O'Malley, I think he was 16-0, 17-0 before this fight. He's fighting against a guy, Aljamain Sterling, who's like the king of the banterweight, correct? Correct. And so he literally hit him with a right, put him down, and then it was over.
Okay.
And this was big for him because, like you said, we sat down, we talked to him. The fans love him, and he could potentially be next. So for him to go out there on this stage, knock him out the way he did, finish him, he could be another UFC star.
I did hear he called out Tank, though.
Yes.
So somebody explain that to me, like in basketball terms.
So
what does that mean?
In basketball terms,
in basketball
terms, it's like, let's say it's one-on-one. Let's keep it in one-on-one.
Okay.
So you're playing against, let's say, you're playing against the 100th ranked guy in the NBA, one-on-one. You demolish him, you beat him, and then you call out KD.
Okay, where am I in like the?
So
NBA
you're Sean
ranking?
O'Malley.
No, but like where am I in the ranking? Am I like a middle tier player? Like am I?
You're middle
like
tier.
Top 25?
Sean O'Malley's middle tier.
Am I top 25? Am I like what am I in basketball terms, Andrew?
I would say you're probably like top 20.
Okay, so I'm top 20. I beat
Sean O'Malley's top 20?
He's top 5 in MMA.
Okay.
No, he's not. He's
So-
top 5 in his division.
So you take top 25 overall in the sport. So he was supposed to be a top 100 player.
No, I thought you were talking about Tank.
If I'm top 20, okay, no. No, but I'm saying this particular fight that he just won, he was supposed to beat that guy. Like it wasn't like a surprise, right?
No, he wasn't supposed to beat this guy.
He wasn't supposed to beat him?
Aljamain, record-wise, is the best bantamweight ever.
Okay, so this is more like, I got it. This is more like you're top 25, you take out KD, and then now you're calling out LeBron. Or you're calling out Jokic, or somebody who just won a championship.
Correct.
That's
exactly what's happening.
Okay, got it.
We'll see what happens. I mean, Wu, do you think that this dude could potentially be the next face of the UFC?
I would say he is primed for it. Because this fight actually brought him to that next level. So now if he loses, let's say, he might take a couple steps back. But if he wins his next fight, let's say he wins his next 2 fights, I think that Gervonta Davis fight is going to give it a lot more serious.
Gervonta Tank Davis is not fighting Sean O'Malley. It's not happening.
Why?
Sean O'Malley potentially could get, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, but Tank is focused on Devin Haney. He got to get through Shakur Stevenson. Like, come on, he ain't gonna go fight no Sean O'Malley. Maybe in 5 years when it's all said and done, he goes the Floyd Mayweather route and go pick up some big bags.
I'm just pulling up a stat for our next topic.
Also,
all right, so there you go. Sean O'Malley, there he is. Ryan Garcia even called him out, right? Ryan Garcia goes out there and says, look,
is gonna happen.
Look, you're
He's
good, but
tall,
come on,
dude.
stop it, man.
I would
You'll
love
get
to go
your
out
ass
there and
knocked
box
out,
him.
basically what he said. But
it'll happen. And
Ryan
people
Garcia's
always,
a nice guy.
I said this was gonna
You know who's
happen
not getting
years
their ass
ago.
knocked out?
They got so
Messi.
much shit saying I was gonna be
Why?
the champ, I'm gonna be the next big star, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that.
just had their
I got
league
so much hate and
cup, and Inter Miami are champions for the first time ever with a win over Nashville Football Club. Now, if you remember, Nashville Football Club's head coach said that we're not gonna lose to, they was talking all that smack about Messi and the Inter Miami and trying to downplay the other guys on the team. But the joke's on them, because not only did they win the League's Cup, they won it in Nashville. But a fun stat for people like Brandon, who think that Messi is washed. Listen to this.
I'd stop saying that before people really believe that. I did not say he's washed.
You didn't?
He's not in his prime anymore. It's a difference.
Okay, whatever.
He's like LeBron right now. Is LeBron still the best in the world?
I'm done beefing with LeBron fans. I have no answer to that question. But listen, before Messi joined Inter Miami, it was the worst team in the MLS. They had 5 wins in 22 matches. Now they are 7-0 and just won the League's Cup since his arrival. So, absolutely incredible. It was really cool. There was a moment where he actually shared the League's Cup with the former captain of Inter Miami. So for people who don't know, Messi became the captain when he arrived in.
That was dirty.
I mean, it was expected. But it was a really nice moment because he tried to give him the captain armband and put it on his arm, and the guy was like, no, I don't want it. And eventually, when they went on to the winner's circle in the stage, they both hoisted up the trophy together, and it was really cool. So Messi, you know, definitely, you know, he's a team guy. He's a GOAT. He's the GOAT. He's this phenomenal player, but you also see a difference how he really likes his teammates. He's a team guy. It's really cool to see.
Listen, that was a cool moment. I wish we had the B-roll here, but after they won it, like you said, he tried to give Yeldon not only the captain's armband, but also like, yo, come share in this moment with me. You come hoist up this trophy, which was dope. But Ashley, he should have never been given that captain's badge from the start, right? Like, you don't come in mid-season and then you say, okay, now I'm stripping this from our guy who's been here for years, the good, the bad, the ugly.
I don't think he was stripped without them. I think the team voted.
There's no vote.
That was the story, was that the team voted to make him captain.
But that had to come from the higher up, say, hey, let's take a vote and let's discuss this. I feel like that should have been shell for next season. Next season, we know what it is. Of course, Messi's going to be the captain.
Doesn't really matter.
But halfway through the year,
this season, it was going to happen anyway, Brandon.
Yes.
I mean,
how would you feel, right? Like, cool.
I feel great. I just won a League's Cup.
All right, so let's go back to basketball terms, right? So you're Chris Paul. You're Devin Booker. You're the captain of the Suns. Halfway through the year, we go trade for KD. And then now they say, okay, Devin Booker, we're going to take that captain badge from you and we're going to give it to KD.
Did they vote on it, or did they just tell me?
Oh my goodness. How would you feel?
Well, let me say this.
How would you feel?
Let me say this. Let me up the conversation. So they take the captain badge from me, the captain title or whatever from me. Do I feel a way about it in the beginning? Maybe. Now, do the Suns go ahead and win the championship? Bygones be bygones. You can have the captain title. We just want a chip.
No.
I have a parade in Phoenix. I have a ring. It's a championship ring. I feel like at that point, I don't think it really matters.
It matters.
It doesn't matter.
More news. Al Hilal, the Saudi Arabia, like, yeah, they're dominating sports headlines right now.
So
Ashley, they're breaking you
this.
down. Eventually, you're going to accept that sports is going to run through Saudi Arabia. I don't care how you feel about it. But did you see what they did for Neymar? They sent over, I think it was a 747, like a Boeing 747, to pick him up, to fly him from Paris to Saudi Arabia. Like, I mean, he probably had 5 or 6, maybe 10 people on his team with him. Like, look at this. This is ridiculous. But this is why they're winning, right?
They're not winning.
They are winning. Like,
you
know what? You have Giannis. Giannis came out, I think, yesterday and said, I want to go play in Saudi Arabia. I know he was just playing, but he's coming out saying, man, there's so much money over there. When I say winning, I mean, all right, you saw what they did in golf. Now what they're trying to do in soccer.
But they're not actually winning. Like, they're not winning things. They're getting people, they're spending like just a gigantic amount of money.
It's pennies to them.
But they're not winning anything. Like, they don't win things.
You know what they're winning?
Their league is terrible. Like, it's not going to be winning a championship anytime soon.
It's taking time, but you don't think that they can disrupt NBA, MLS, the Premier League? Because if they're taking the biggest stars, they're actually creating a lot of opportunity for themselves to be the next league. If you look up and all your best soccer players are now in Saudi Arabia, that's a big deal. I don't know what their plans are for basketball, but think about even James Harden. James Harden last week, and I think this was part of his tactics of, getting uncomfortable and making a messy situation even messier. But he's like, look, I want to come to China, right? Like he said, I think my fans deserve to see me play in China, right? All the love that I get here. Now, I think a lot of that is him posturing, because he's playing this game with the 76ers. But at the same time, like, you don't think James Harden can make $40 million over in China?
Yeah, but I think the difference is like, China is the equivalent for American ball players as what the Saudi league is for soccer players. What I mean by that is you're not going to see a soccer player in their prime. Think of Mbappe. Go over to Saudi Arabia because they're not going to win. They're not a competitive league. They're a league that's glitz and glamour because they spend a whole lot of cash. You don't pay taxes. They give you a jet. It's like for guys who've already kind of won and done all the things, like a Ronaldo, who's won who's won everything that there is to win, essentially. Now he just wants to chill, collect his check, live a lavish lifestyle. Or a guy like Neymar, who's been plagued by a lot of injuries, is not nearly the player that he was when he first, started the sport, and didn't really garner any interest from any of the Premier Leagues or the Championship League when he said he wanted out of PSG. So he goes over here where they treat him like royalty. He gets paid a crap load of money, but he's not going to win. You're not going to see a player who actually is still able to play the sport and win the sport in the highest level possible go over to play for Saudi Arabia. I just don't see it.
Look, first you got to look at it this way. All right, different categories. Athletes play for different reasons.
Right.
Some play to break records or to win. Some play for the fame. Some play for the money, right? So I do think that, there will be athletes in their prime that make that move. You saw it in golf. Some of our best golfers went over there and played in that league, but then they end up, merging with PGA.
Well, golf's a bad example though, because only a certain amount of guys in the PGA make a crap load of money. Like
that's true.
Tiger
That's
Woods,
true. But
you know what I mean?
But think about this though. Let's go back to soccer. If a guy in his prime is a guy that plays for the money, then there's no competition. They're going to go over there, right? Some guys aren't here to win championships. That's one of the things that used to piss me off being in the locker room. Never forget, after my rookie year, we just got knocked out of the playoffs, okay? We get knocked out of the playoffs, and this might be a little too much information, meaning that, like, we weren't in the playoffs, but if we won, we were in. San Francisco came to Denver. If we won the game, we would have been in the playoffs, okay? I think we ended up going 9-6 that year. Didn't happen.
Okay.
In the shower, I'm pissed off, fresh into the league. And then I got a linebacker next to me. We're in the shower. And he's like, hey, how your body feel? I said, I'm good. And he says, that's all that matters. I'm pissed off, got damn near tears in my eyes because we're not advancing. We're not going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
Did you
guys,
fight him?
No, I looked at him like he was crazy.
Oh.
I looked at him like crazy, but we were naked.
Like you guys did like the jail fight,
No, we were naked. But if we had towels on, it could have potentially got a little heated. But I think that's what kept me from crossing that line.
There's never been a shower fight like in the locker room. Like it's just so like you're so pissed. Someone just said something so crazy to you that you have not to you, but like just that you've seen. Like someone said something so crazy it couldn't even wait till you got out of the shower. You just had to box right there. No. Is that weird?
That is very weird.
Like crazy.
That's very.
I don't know if that's weird. Is that weird?
Yes, that's very weird.
I'm sorry. It's just like, could the disrespect wait till you dry off, lotion up, put your clothes on?
Listen, for the most part, like in the league, that stuff stays on the court. It stays on the field, right?
Okay.
Like it doesn't happen. Absolutely, if like fights happen, but for it to spill over in the shower. And you're naked, that's a whole nother thing. But you know what? I think it happened in college before.
Really?
Yeah, when I was at UCF. I don't recall, the guys and what the situation was, but we definitely witnessed a fight in college.
In the shower?
Amongst two naked football players. And yeah, we were shocked. We were like, how do you do this? Like, how do you even break it up?
Yeah.
You can't, like, who's going to run over there? Woo, you running over there, pulling somebody off? Like, and then it's slippery. You don't know what you grab. Woo.
Can you imagine, though, the core strength and the leg strength you would have to stay up during that entire fight when the floor is soaking wet? That would be impressive. Like, the strength alone would just be impressive to me.
You know what? We're tripping right now. I got an idea. Ashley, we need to go partner with Saudi and cover what they're doing in sports. For real, think about it. It's an easy bag. You going with me?
No.
What if we go once a month?
I'm not going.
What if they send the Boeing, the 747 Boeing, and we go once a month, and all we got to do is cover
You're
Neymar?
Talking to the girl who in college was offered $500,000 to go to Dubai, and I didn't take.
What if they're giving you $500,000 a month for us to go over there and cover what they're doing in sports? $6 billion?
No.
That's a bag for us. They need media. They need coverage. You're not going with me.
No, I'm a pass.
$500,000 a month.
Take Keanu Nagin with you.
$500,000 a month.
Make it on the go.
Paper route on the go. Ashley Nicole,
Paper route on the go. Saudi Arabia.
You tripping?
I'll hold down the fort here in Miami.
You tripping? You're
No.
going. All right, here we go. So, a slow news cycle this weekend, but there were some cool things happening, right? The 747 Boeing was cool, but what else was cool was Sha'Carri Richardson. Okay.
What'd she do?
She went out there and she won again, and I think she ran a 10.9. Was it a 10.9? Whatever, but I love her message afterwards, right? Like, we're talking about someone over the last couple years had to pull herself out of the mud again. It's been the story of her life, but high hopes surrounding her leaving LSU. Mm-hmm. She goes out there on the world's biggest stage. Every athlete wants to be in the Olympics, and she can't participate. Why? Because she failed a drug test, right? And for those who may not know who Sha'Carri is, Sha'Carri, Google her, right? Because it's an interesting story. We're talking about someone who's super young, and she may be entering into her prime. I'm not sure if she's in her prime, but she goes out there, and on her path and her journey to the Olympics, the biggest stage of her career, a reporter tells her that her mom passes. So how did she cope with that? She went out and smoked marijuana, right? She fails the drug test, and it was a big thing. It was a whole debate, and she missed out on a huge opportunity. The following year, she comes back. She didn't look great. This year, she's been tearing up the whole circuit, like winning meet after meet after meet after meet. And this was cool. She made this statement afterwards. And what I loved about it, it wasn't like she came up with this off the top of her head. It wasn't like this was some, pre-produced, pre-recorded interview. It was right when she off the track. She's still, trying to catch her breath. And the guy asked her about what message she wants to send the world. She's like, I've seen the world be my friend. I've seen the world turn away from me or turn on me. And I thought that was so dope. I love where she's at right now. I don't know if do we have any footage or any B-roll of Sha'Carri? Do we have anything there? Any pictures of her meet? But she looks phenomenal, Ashley. Have you been following her story?
I've been following her story. I didn't see this race, but I remember covering the story intently. When I was at Sports Illustrated, this was a huge topic. And everyone was kind of like, 50-50 on, did she deserve the suspension? Should she have had to, should she have been punished? Should she have not been able to participate? It was a very interesting dynamic and interesting conversation that people were having regarding marijuana. And it was also interesting too, because a lot of people did not like her very flamboyant, just in your face attitude when she was, being interviewed and things like that. And some of the conversations being had were the difference between how we allow male athletes to kind of lead with that dominance and that trash talk and that, that ego, and we kind of chastise female athletes.
Right.
And that was a conversation that arose from this particular story as well. So it was a lot of there's a lot of in-between narratives and storylines that were happening from this bigger story. So it was definitely interesting for sure.
Similar to what we saw with Angel Reese, right?
Yeah, exactly. Same type of storylines came from the Angel Reese story.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of her.
Me
she
too.
looks phenomenal, and I can't wait to see, what she continues to do. I think she's just getting started. Yeah. I mean, she celebrated early. She knew she had the race in the bag, and she threw her hands up before, she even crossed the finish line. This is someone that's been through so much, and she's just in a great place mentally. And it's an everyday battle for athletes, at this level, You know, you got so many people watching you, you know, huge microphone, cameras everywhere you go and where you turn. So, you know, shout out to her. Big love there.
Definitely. So we are going to go ahead now. Wow, we finished news of the day in 30 minutes flat. Is that a record?
Yeah, you didn't talk as much.
Can we clock that?
Yeah, you didn't talk as much.
What do you mean?
Usually you dominate the show.
Oh, okay, it's me. I'm the one who goes long-winded, blah, 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 whatever.
Do you think you talk more than me? Or
No.
do I talk more than you? What do you think?
You definitely talk more than me. We can take it to a vote, though, if you want to.
No, I don't want to take it to a vote. What we should do is just start timing, you know.
I can definitely get to my point in and out quicker than you can.
I agree with you.
Yes, but you don't.
I agree with you there.
I know.
But you have 4 or 5 points on each topic.
But they're quick. Yours are like 4 or 5 points each topic in one saying. So it's like we sit here for 5-6 minutes listening to you to hit every single point in that window of time.
You may be
I like to space mine out, you know?
Ashley Nicole Moss, Brandon Marshall sitting here on Paper Route presented by I Am Athlete. We're also on Sirius XM, Faction Talk Channel 103. Shout out to everybody who's driving and listening to us. That's big, man. We got people that comes back and watches on YouTube that rocks with us on Sirius XM and on the radio. So we love you guys and we thank you. And now,
this is actually funny. The chat says that I say more words, but you talk longer.
You say more words.
Like I talk faster and say more words, so it's quicker, but you just talk longer. So, yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Listen, while Brandon sits on that,
you see me, I'm trying to figure out, like, what?
That's what the chat says. I'm just reading what the chat says. It just says
like,
you talk longer, and I talk faster with more words. So.
Am I clear? Am I concise? Do y'all understand my message? That's the question. Sometimes I be.
Sometimes the message gets lost in translation.
Really?
But sometimes the message has already been hit. But you keep, it's like when you make a cake, right? And the cake's like, it's good. And you're like, a little bit more frosting, a little bit more frosting. And the next thing you know, the cake's like here when it was started here. And but you know what? It is what it is.
All right, well, let's see. I'm about to overbake this cake on this next
All right, well, we're going to switch a little bit to Word on the Tweet, and we're going to talk some football. And Pete Carroll, listen, Pete Carroll's over 70 years old. I believe he is the oldest head coach in the NFL. Andrew, fact-check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that he is. But that does not stop this man from being just as athletic as the players he is coaching. And he showed off his arm in Seahawks training camp. And we have the video, so take a look at this. No, that's not the video. There's a video of Pete Carroll throwing the football. There we go. Here we are. Look at that. Ooh. Ooh. I mean.
So, Ashley.
Look at him run. Look at him running.
Oh, he threw it. Look at the no look.
The no look.
Yeah, that's Ryan.
Look at him.
Listen, everybody keeps saying Patrick Mahomes, but that's Ryan Fitzpatrick. Don't forget, Ryan was the guy that was doing this first. He's throwing down. See, I didn't see all of these videos. I just saw the ones from the red zone. I didn't know he was doing fringe and backed up.
Pete Carroll is 71 years old.
Wow. So, Ashley, I was there. That was like my last cup of tea. My last year, 2018. I spent, all summer and the fall pretty much in Seattle. And it was awesome. Pete Carroll was awesome. He's one of those guys that I watch. He came in every single day with this energy and this pursuit of excellence. And, he was just next level leader. And that's who he is all the time. Soon as he steps foot on the grass, he doesn't stop moving. Now, I never seen him do this, but we're talking about running all over the place. That's his workout.
He's in great shape.
That's his workout.
Yeah.
That's his workout when he goes out there. I've never seen an environment like that. It's all day competition. Soon as you come in, 8 o'clock in the morning, the first thing you're doing is competing. All right, I want Brandon Marshall and I want Russell Wilson up. Give me KJ Wright. Give me, Frank Clark. And I want this guy, that guy. I want this coach, that coach. And scout, you come against this coach. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a shootout. Every day it starts with that.
Okay.
Every day. So I'm not surprised to see Pete Carroll adding to his workout regimen. You know, this is why the Seattle Seahawks for so many years been good. And I'm expecting big things out of this team.
Well, listen, they're 2-0 in the preseason. They beat the Cowboys 22-14 in their second preseason game. Luckily for us, that means nothing. But going back real quickly before we dive into the Seahawks and what they will look like and, you know, what we can expect from the season, Pete Carroll said that he was getting so many responses regarding this video of him on the field throwing around the football, and one of those responses came from Snoop Dogg. So listen to this. Check this out.
Pete Carroll, the nerve of you to treat your players with such abuse.
What he said. Hold on.
You should be sanctioned, dog. I thought you was better. This is Snoop Dogg.
He basically
On behalf of Death Row
Snoop
Records,
said, like,
you
come
keep
on,
treating
why
them
you
players like
abusing
that,
the players?
abusing them.
You know me. You know
Call
me to
them
come
out their
there.
name.
So he was just like,
I'm gonna show up and show out. Because you know I'm a player. Get your shit together, Pete. I don't want to do it, but I will. Get your arrested.
Hey, Coach, I got a video earlier today from one of your practices. It has me very concerned. I keep hearing about the abuse that you're putting on your defensive secondary, shredding them every day with your passes and your running.
What are you doing? These are young men out there. They're fighting for their livelihoods, for their jobs. And you make them look like little bitches, okay? You gotta back off. Because if you're gonna make them look like little bitches, I'm gonna make you my bitch, all right? And you know I'll do it. Back off, bitch. Back off.
Whoa, I had no idea you guys felt like that. Hey, you either compete or you're not.
I mean, the Roger Goodell one, that was funny.
that was good.
It was good, but listen, I think
Will Ferrell was awesome.
I love me some Will Ferrell. I'm a big Will Ferrell
When is
fan.
a new
But I
movie
think
gonna
it's funny because we're always talking about like coaches and how you want them. And I remember there was a conversation, I think it was actually on Undisputed, where Skip had said something about Andy Reid once, about how is he going to coach, or how can you coach top athletes and you're not in shape, or something along those lines.
Oh, wow.
And
most coaches are out of shape.
most coaches can't do a lot of the things that their athletes can do, but I think also we also underestimate how many coaches can do, in some regards, some of the things that the athletes can do. They just aren't required to do them. Seeing Pete Carroll at 71 years old, you almost like respect him a little more when he tells his quarterback to do this, to that, because it's like, I could do it if I had to.
Right.
Now, obviously not to the level of, you know, an NFL game. I wouldn't want to see him get hit like out of the pocket, but it's always cool when you see a coach kind of step outside the coach thing, loosen up a little bit, and show them what they can do.
Right,
so.
and then also, like, just as from a player's...
Oh, sorry, it was Mike McCarthy he said it about.
Oh, Mike McCarthy.
Not Andy Reid.
You know, from a player's perspective, it just makes, it's fun, right? Like when you see your coaches, like you said, step outside of that coach lane and go out there, run with you, even lift weights with you, throw the ball, you know, try to tackle you. Like I saw Sean Jefferson, a receiver coach for, I don't know if it was the Miami Dolphins, but Sean Jefferson, I don't know where he's at now, but he had on pads. He had a helmet on, he had shoulder pads out, had cleats, and he was going through the drills with the guys. That gives us energy. Like if a coach want a player, you know, like if you come in and you feel like, you know, the energy of the team is down, the easy solution to get the energy up, a coach just come out and participate. Because now you're like, oh, the coach is doing it, right? Or you throw an offensive lineman and say, go back there and catch some punts. So you love that from a coach's standpoint. I feel bad. I kind of messed up my relationship with Pete Carroll.
Why?
Because I felt like
Or
I had to
how,
choose.
rather?
I had to choose between. I felt like I had to choose between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll.
We know you weren't going to mess with that bromance.
And the general manager Snyder were always good to me. So their first year, the first year that they got to Seattle, Pete and Snyder, okay, I was their #1 target. And so they flew me out. They put me on a plane similar to like what I think we're going to talk about it later. You saw Brandon Cooks and Micah and Gilmore flying around. Like, it was a prop plane like that. The owner's prop plane flying around, seeing that. They have my name, welcome to Seattle, all of that. It was great.
Okay.
They offered me way more money than the Miami Dolphins. And I said no. I said no because my agent was like, this is a great place to hide, Brandon. There's 4 or 5 people on the beat covering the team. You just need to come here, make a lot of money, and just hide, right?
Well, what does that have to do with Russell Wilson, though?
So I'm saying that because amazing relationship with them from day one. Fast forward, there's a couple of times they tried to acquire me, tried to figure it out, but just didn't work out. But then I ended up getting there the last year of my career.
Okay.
Phenomenal relationship. Now Russell Wilson wants to divorce the Seattle Seahawks. They go through this divorce. I'm like, the kid here, what parent do you choose? Right?
So
like, I'm always gonna go with the player, right? Like, I'm always backing the player, because you sit in those seats. I sit in those seats. And so when things was coming out about Russell Wilson, I was like, no. I was there. Like, let me explain. You know what I'm saying? So like, I took Russell's side. And I haven't ran into him. I haven't talked to him. Usually we talk like once or twice a year, and it's been, 2 years, and there hasn't been any communication, so I may have burnt that bridge.
The chat said you would take a bullet for Russell Wilson.
Nah, but I am a good friend, though. Like, but I ain't taking no bullet for Russell Wilson.
Would you fight, if someone was trying to fight Russell Wilson, would you jump in the fight?
I mean, that's anybody. Like,
that's not
you don't have to be a friend. You don't even have to be a friend like it. Let's say,
Brandon, if you were walking down the street and some guy approached some other guy, and you saw it happening on Lincoln Road, you're not jumping in that fight.
So first, okay, let's say, all right, let me answer that first. I'm the type of person that will probably walk up like, yo, y'all chill, separate. Or if someone is like bullying someone else, like I might jump in, and I'm that guy.
But you're not gonna fight.
I could.
You're gonna fight for some random people on Lincoln Road?
Yeah, I'm that person, right? Like, I'm not the person that's going to just turn a blind eye to something happening.
Problem.
Right, that's right. that's correct. But now if you're not my friend, let's say we're in a group and we go out.
Yes.
I can't, like, if something happened, now I'm not gonna put my life in danger. You know what I'm saying? People pull out knives and guns, but like, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna support you. I ain't gonna just let you get whooped.
So you wouldn't do it for your friends?
No, I'm saying, like.
But you would do it for strangers on Lincoln Road. What if they have knives?
No, they said take a bullet.
Okay, well,
that was the question.
I changed it to fight.
Yeah, if me and Russell's out, of course I'm fighting with him.
What if you and Russell are out and Jay Cutler tries to fight him? Would you fight Jay Cutler?
Yeah, we jumping Jay Cutler. We jumping him. No, I'm not. I'm gonna play.
You're gonna be
mediator.
like, come on, guys, I love you both. Don't do this. You're both my brothers.
I'm playing mediator, for sure.
I'm gonna be there to support you. Okay, so going back to the Seahawks, let's go ahead. One of the things that people are asking, you said they looked good preseason. They're 2-0 right now. People want to know, can this team steal a division from the 49ers? Do they have that much in the tank, that much dip on their chip to make that happen?
Yeah, so 49ers are the clear-cut favorites.
Yes, this is true.
Seattle, I just don't know what I'm going to get. What made Seattle so special for a very long time, one is that guy right there, Pete Carroll, right? Like, you talk about ultimate leader and super successful at all levels, that's Pete Carroll. So it starts with him, okay? But also they were able to run the ball. They had Marshawn Lynch. They had Russell Wilson making big plays and Mr. Clutch, 2-minute, right? And then they had the Legion of Boom. And so that defense was next level. I hated going up against KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner and Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill in their prime. And we're talking about Earl Thomas and so on and so forth. Richard Sherman, Brandon Browner. Like, that's what made that team good. And I've said this publicly, and these are some of the things that I was saying, over the last 2 years and why I brought up, like, I don't know where my relationship is with Pete Carroll, but I'm like, yo, you've been running the same defense and doing the same things for a decade now. It's time to switch. And I always gave this example. If it's 3rd and 2 to 4, Everybody across the league knew what they were running. If I go 3-by-1, so I put 3 receivers on this side, 1 receiver on the outside, and then I put speed at the 3. Speed at the 3 means like that receiver right next to the tackle. Who's guarding me is KJ Wright. So now I got speed on the big, meaning that you put a Tyreek Hill in that situation and he runs a diagonal across the field, 9 times out of 10 you're going to win. So now you're expecting your defense, you're expecting your players to overcome, you know, the playbook and this book that's out on you. And I just felt like they got dry. But what they end up doing over the last 2 years, they start sprinkling in some too. They start blitzing a little bit more. So they added more to their defense. But they're not an elite defense. Offensively, I believe in Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith, this wasn't, he's not a one-hit wonder. Like, obviously, he's been in the league, 10 years, and last year was a breakout year for him. It's a dope story. But he's here to stay for a couple of more years. I truly believe that. I like their receivers, but, you know, to dethrone the 49ers, like, you got to have a top 5 defense, and they don't have that. And you got to have an offense that is up there with Patrick Mahomes and the Joe Burrows of the world. So if I'm a betting man.
They're definitely a wild card team, though, would you say?
No, I can't say that.
Really?
You have them in your wild card, right?
I definitely have them in the wild card, for sure.
I can't say that they're definitely a wild card. I wish. Do we have that? Do we have our playoff predictions, our 2 early playoff predictions anywhere in the files? I would love to pull that up. Like, Ashley, do you remember who you picked in the NFC and who I had?
I know I had the 49ers. I think that was easy. I definitely had the Seahawks wild card. I had.
So who wins? Let's go here. In NFC East, who wins the division there?
I mean.
So the Cowboys, you have the Cowboys. We both have the Cowboys. Okay, now let's go to the NFC North. Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings.
I had the Vikings.
You had the Vikings,
yes.
and I had, I believe, the Vikings as well. And then let's go to NFC South.
Okay.
Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers.
I had the Saints.
You had the Saints.
Yes. Here we go.
Okay, so this is here I am right here. I do have the Seattle. No, is that me?
No, this is you, Brandon.
I have the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs.
Look at you. Look at you.
Oh, wow.
Look at
I have them in the playoffs.
Look at you, contradicting yourself on live TV.
Well, you hear what it says.
That's
it's way
crazy.
too early playoff picture. It's way too early. It's way too early.
So how do you have them at 2? I'm sorry. How do you have them going into the playoffs from the NFC, and now that they've actually gone 2-0 in the preseason?
Oh my goodness!
You have seen what they have looked like, at least. Like, this was before you all even saw what they look like.
That's
now
right.
that you see what they look like, now you want to take that back? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
No, I'm not taking it back.
Oh, okay.
But this is why it's called way too early playoff picture, right? Because we don't know. There's so many things that can happen. Mm-hmm. But if you look at, you know, the AFC and the NFC, there's a few things that are certain, right? If everyone stays healthy. Philadelphia Eagles are going to be right where they need to be. The San Francisco 49ers are going to be right where they need to be. Mm-hmm. And then you have the Kansas City Chiefs on the AFC side. You have the Cincinnati Bengals on the AFC side, right? But you throw the Buffalo Bills up there, right? There's those teams. Everything else, like, who would have expected last year the Detroit Lions do what they did, or the Jacksonville Jaguars to have the second half of the season that they had? But to dethrone the San Francisco 49ers, I think that's going to be tough. But in the NFC, it's clear, obviously, that I have them in the playoffs. But so many things can happen. The Atlanta Falcons, you're talking about after 2 preseason games. Can the Atlanta Falcons be good with Bijan Robinson and what they're doing down there?
They can definitely be good.
Right. I think you like the Carolina Panthers. I don't have them in the playoffs, but you and Thomas Davis. You swapped them?
Remember, I had them, but I had them on my ranking, not my ranking, my playoff picture, because I forgot about the Lions, and I was able to swap them. So I swapped them. I took the Panthers out, I put the Lions in.
And then you have the Rams too. Like, you know, I had that extra. I'm the one that took the extra. You safeguarded. Right, but
I didn't do that.
A lot of people,
I stuck to the code.
A lot of people think that they're rebuilding, retooling, whatever you want to call it, but. Man, you got Aaron Donald on one side. He's going to win you a couple games. You bring back a healthy Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. You know, he's still the little boy wonder. right, when it comes to the offensive side, offensive guru. So you never know what happens. Do we have Ashley's?
We have mine too, and although, listen, this is mine. Oh, I do have the Panthers. You know what? Leave the Panthers up there. We never swapped
so
them.
there, see?
We never swapped them for the Lions. I was going to swap them for the Lions, but now that it's up here, it's written in stone.
See, you're just getting on me talking about contradicting myself.
No, because
you forgot who you had in the playoffs.
I didn't forget. I remembered that in real time, I asked to switch out the Panthers for the Lions. But since that's not what happened, let's just keep it how it is. Yeah, can we throw that back up there for a second so I can look at that? But I had the Seahawks, had the 49ers. Seahawks was a wild card for me. I did wild cards and division winners. Yeah, I like my list still looking at it. The Broncos maybe.
Why you do that? Russell Wilson looked good. The first
Broncos
game
don't look good.
The first preseason game, Sean Payton kept his starters in for 2 quarters, which is unheard of in the first game. And then his last game, they went out there. He saw what he needed to see. Russell Wilson looked quick. He was fast. They got in and out.
I'm going to be honest with you. I had the Broncos in here, Sean Payton, Russell Wilson. But a lot of injuries have plagued this team very early in the season. And I put them in there on the strength of Russell Wilson and Sean Payton alone.
So look.
I'm not a true believer, though.
So let's do this, right? You have Ashley's and Brandon's way too early playoff picture. We love to go through these exercises, right? Even awards, et cetera, et cetera. How about before season 1, we go.
You mean week 1?
Week 1. So sorry, week 1, we go out there and we actually say, okay, here's what we're doing, right? Okay. Here's our predictions for the year. We solidify them.
Okay.
Does that seem fair?
That works for me.
Okay.
In the meantime, though, we're going to switch gears from Russell Wilson to another guy that Brandon Marshall loves very much, and that's Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers recently sat down with CBS New York and gave a little bit of information about Zach Wilson and says that he plans to pass the torch to him when he's all said and done with football or the Jets. Just take a look at this.
Being able to win here would be really, really special. But why limit it to 1? I don't plan on this being a one and done. So I think we're going to be competitive here for a long time. I'd like to be able to play a few good years here and then hand it right back off to Zach and let him go for the next 15, and it'd be a really special, 18 to 20-year run of great quarterback play.
So if you weren't able to listen to that, basically what he said was he plans to play, quote, a few good years and then pass the torch back to Zach Wilson for the next 15 plus years. I think it's a very nice sentiment. Aaron, I love this new leaf that you have turned over. You were once very standoffish and aloof. And now you're just like this nice, kind of cuddly, just teddy bear that people want to hang out with. You're wearing chains, you got handshakes with your teammates, you're laughing, you're smiling, you're looking fantastic shape, but you're a little bit off your rocker here. I don't know if it's the ayahuasca, you took too much. 15 plus years of Zach Wilson, are you for real? Zach Wilson will be lucky if he's there next season.
Well, so here's what I would say.
And when Aaron Rodgers passes the torch, Brandon, there are going to be a lot of other quarterbacks that have come in and out of the draft. Zach Wilson will be a forgotten thought. 15 plus years of Zach Wilson, that means you think he's your franchise quarterback when you hang it up? Yeah. You're nuts.
So look, the market always corrects itself, okay? And then also, I think that, the NFL is a copycat league. So now teams are going out drafting these high-profile quarterbacks in the first round, top of the round, and they're expecting them to play right away. They're expecting them to be Andrew Luck. They're expecting them to be, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, right? But the reality is, if you go back to where we always were, quarterbacks used to sit. Aaron Rodgers sat. You understand? So maybe Aaron Rodgers, could have got it done in year 2, year 3. He sat a couple years behind Brett Favre. But I would say that he learned a lot, good, the bad, and the ugly. And so I like this. And I do believe Zach Wilson can play. 15 years is a lot. But basically what he's saying is, look, this kid is good enough to where he can be the face of the franchise for a very long time. Whether that's 10 years or 15 years, I think that's the message that Aaron Rodgers is saying. He has all the intangibles. Like, he has the flair, he has the fortitude. No, I can't say that. I said that when he was coming out in the draft. I was about to say he has the fortitude for the big city. But we saw him buckle a little bit last year when the pressure, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit start hitting the fan. You know, Zach Wilson starts shriveling up a little bit. But I do believe that he has the oomph and the strength to be able to deal with that New York market. But you talking about talent, super talented. The difference between guys like him and Aaron Rodgers is more so like mindset and IQ. So now sitting back and not having the pressure and the weight of the franchise on you and learning from Aaron Rodgers, he absolutely, if he's patient, if he and his team is patient, he absolutely could be the quarterback that he passes it to. And it could be sooner rather than later, because if the Jets go out there and win the Super Bowl this year, I think this man retires and he passes the torch. If they don't, I think you get 2 years out of Aaron Rodgers, maybe 3. So now Zach Wilson's going in year 4, year 5. Perfect timing for this young man. Baker Mayfield rushed. I felt like Baker Mayfield should have stayed with the Rams. Mm-hmm. The Rams was high on him. This organization really loved what he did, and he could have been passed the torch. I think that if Zach Wilson doesn't rush this and try to play, and because there's going to be other opportunities, right? If he stays, this could be a perfect storyline for the Jets and Zach Wilson.
I totally disagree. I think that you've seen what Zach Wilson is as a starting quarterback prior to Aaron Rodgers getting there. And look, I will say a lot of the things that went wrong were not his fault. The team was kind of in a weird space. Coaching was in a weird space. Not all of the fault falls on Zach Wilson. Not going to do that. You saw bits and pieces of who he was and what he could do. And yes, it was enough to kind of say if he had X, Y, and Z, he could be X, Y, and Z. But he didn't. He wasn't. Aaron Rodgers comes in. And also, before we even get to Aaron Rodgers, let's not ignore the fact that the locker room did not like him.
That's true. They turned on him.
The quarterback, the success relies on 2 things. His talent, actually a few things. His talent, the coaching staff, the team, but also his ability to relate and have a relationship with his teammates, you know. The locker room could not stand this guy. They did not have a relationship with him. They didn't want to develop a relationship with him. How do you go ahead and garner success when the guys that you are responsible for leading don't want to be around you? So I can understand, yes, in terms of talent, in terms of molding and developing talent, you can go ahead and say Aaron Rodgers would be perfect for him. I agree with that. But I still don't think that would make him the quarterback that the Jets need. I think Zach Wilson, at best, is a backup quarterback. He is not a franchise quarterback. And if he is not a franchise quarterback in a New York market. Maybe Minnesota. Maybe something that's a little bit more off the grid.
Well, the first question we have to ask ourselves, right? Does he have the physical talent? Does Zach Wilson have the physical talent to be?
Yes.
Okay, so great. Super talented, and you can see it now, right? Like, he's throwing the ball, like, he always had that flair. He was always a fan of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Now, what he's doing in the pocket, throwing off one leg, side arm, like, he's literally taking, you know, he's modeling his game after Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so he has the talent. Sitting on the sideline, right? Because there's 2 things you talked about. You talked about, you know, can he go out there and correct his mistakes from when he started? So there's the mental mistakes, sitting on a bench behind a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer will give you the opportunity to do that, right? Not everyone takes advantage of it, and some people just don't have it, right? Some people are just slow blinkers. They will never get it. But I believe Zach Wilson has the IQ to be able to sit back and process without the pressure and say, damn, okay, this is how I go through my progressions. This is how you go through a 2-minute drive, or this is how you communicate with your teammates. Now let's go to the teammates. Humility. Sometimes you got to be humble. That was the problem. So you're absolutely right. So I can see Zach Wilson sitting back saying, fuck, I went through a lot last year. And this is one of the most humbling moments of my career, of my life. And fixing those things. Aaron Rodgers was the same guy. You just talked about
But
that.
I think that the difference is that
Aaron Rodgers haven't always been liked by everybody and even his teammates, but now look at him.
He hasn't, but you can't be unlikable and not talented.
True.
You got to pick a struggle. You know what I mean? Like, you can be, people cannot like you, but you are just a freak of nature. Like, you bring wins. Michael Jordan wasn't always liked by his teammates,
but he was good.
But he was a winner.
That's
so
right.
that overrode the fact that you didn't always like him because he won. Zach Wilson can't be unlikable and then stink up the joint. That's not how that works. I truthfully believe, is the physical talent there? Yes. But physical talent doesn't always equal success.
So you don't believe in forgiveness? You don't believe that people can change?
I don't think that this is not like he did any.
It is.
No, it's not. Forgiveness for what?
But what I'm saying, basically you're saying,
forgive him for not being a right fit.
You're saying the kid had mono, first off, right? Like
oh my God, Brandon, I had mono in high school.
But
okay? I was okay in a week.
But he missed so much time, so that I think the first year he might have had mono. The second year, I think that may have been him. Can we look at his injury history? And then like the second year, he dealt with something. He came out and dealing with all the other things. But I brought up forgiveness and, you know, you don't believe people can change because the kid had a rocky start to his career.
Right.
Now being able to sit back and think about, like, how do I get better? You've changed. You've worked on yourself, right?
No, but what I'm saying is sometimes look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was given a crap hand when he was with the Jets.
That's
and
right.
when I interviewed now Chosen Anderson, he said the same thing, that Sam Darnold was given a crap chance with the Jets. He got to Carolina, and that was supposed to be, what, his second coming, his revival. It wasn't. Your physical talent doesn't always equal success when it comes to being a starter quarterback. I can give you another example. Look at Josh Rosen.
Okay.
Josh Rosen has been
He was trash. He was trash. That was a mistake. They should have never drafted that guy in the first round. Never drafted that guy.
What I'm saying is Zach Wilson, yes. Does he have physical talent? Does he have certain attributes that make him, that on paper make him a great starting quarterback? Yes. Can he get better? Yes. Can the leadership of Aaron Rodgers help him get better? Yes. Do I think that he will be the franchise quarterback that leads the New York Jets for X amount of years? I don't. You're also negating the fact that a lot can happen in 2-3 years. Let's say Aaron Rodgers plays, let's say he plays 4 or 5 more years.
He's not playing 4 or 5 more years.
Okay, let's say
go
he
ahead.
plays
If you want to do that,
let's just do an even number. Let's say, not an even number. Let's do an easy number. Let's say he plays 5 more years minimum.
Okay.
Okay? 4 to 5 more years.
Okay.
You mean to tell me in 4 to 5 years that there may not be a quarterback that comes up through the draft that makes you forget Zach Wilson even exists? You're putting a lot of stock that there aren't going to be better quarterbacks as an option to take over the New York Jets.
So first, I don't think if Aaron Rodgers plays 4 to 5 more years, Zach Wilson probably won't be there. Why? Like, I think this is year 3 for him, you know, so like you have the rookie option. So I think unless the Jets want to go out there and pay 2 quarterbacks a massive amount of money to keep it while, you know, keep Zach Wilson until Aaron Rodgers retire, I don't think that's going to happen, okay? But in practice, you're seeing this guy every single day. You don't know what you're going to get. You just named a few guys, Josh Rosen, you just named Sam Darnold, even Zach Wilson. You go out and draft these guys in the first round, and they bust. They're bust. They turn into bust. So now you got Zach Wilson that's there learning from Aaron Rodgers, that understands your system. So I would say if Aaron Rodgers is still with the Jets 4 to 5 years from now, then probably Robert Saleh's still there, Coach Saleh's still there, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, maybe he's still there. You know, if they're having that much success, they may get plucked and they may get other gigs at the college level, maybe another head coaching gig, but the system is still the same. So now you have a guy that's been in your system for a couple of years learning behind Aaron Rodgers. That is the perfect situation, like to pass the torch to that guy than someone unknown.
I'm not even talking about it first. What about a late
also
round?
You're seeing him. So, like, if you're seeing him every day making the right decisions, you're seeing his growth on and off the field, I'm going to bet with that guy than some unknown. I don't care if it's a Heisman Trophy winner because you don't know what you're going to get. This is a great discussion, but I would say this too. The last thing I would say, Ashley, and then you can, you know, respond or push the conversation forward. Zach Wilson he has the talent, and he's in a perfect situation. And it seems like he's been humble. I think that he's going to take advantage of his time in New York behind Aaron Rodgers. And so, you know, time will tell. But if I'm going to make a bet on who's the next quarterback, I'm betting on Zach Wilson being the next quarterback for the Jets.
No. I don't disagree that he would be the next quarterback. I just don't think he's going to be the franchise quarterback. I think he would be what we thought Geno Smith was going to be in Seattle. I think that he is going to be your in-between quarterback, your quarterback, your transitional quarterback, your guy who, after you go ahead and you have, let's say they win a Super Bowl, you win the Super Bowl, but you're not bad enough to where you're not going to be competitive. You weren't bad enough to where you have a top draft pick, but you're not good enough to win a Super Bowl. He's going to be your quarterback.
Okay.
And that's only going to be until they find their next guy.
Right.
So I agree. He will lead the Jets at one
hard
point,
to find that
but
guy,
he's
though.
not going to be the guy.
But it's so hard to find a guy. It's so hard to find.
It
like,
is.
Y'all got, like, the Cowboys have Dak Prescott.
And you got him what?
A top 10
what round did you get him in?
Was it 4th?
It was, I believe, the 5th round.
Yeah. So, okay, you got Dak Prescott, and people are saying we don't have a quarterback. We're still looking for a guy. It's so hard to find a guy. You know, like, the quarterbacks don't grow on trees.
They don't.
You know, sorry to get off topic here, but, and you know how I feel, and I did a whole little segment here, but, like, you look at Dak Prescott through the first 9-10 years and compare him to Tom Brady's numbers, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees. His numbers are right there or better than all those guys. But we're sitting here saying that he is not good, and we're ready to move on from Dak Prescott. We aren't
sitting here and saying that. You've never heard me say that.
No, I'm talking about, like, the sports, majority of the sports world is against Dak.
That's all right. They also thought Carson Wentz was better than Dak Prescott. Look at that now.
He was for 1 year, 2018.
He was never better than Dak
2018, you would have voted for Carson Wentz if he didn't get hurt for MVP.
I would have voted for Carson Wentz?
Yes, you would have voted for Carson.
I would have voted for Carson Wentz.
He was that good in 2018.
I would have voted for a Philadelphia Eagle quarterback.
Yes, you had to. Then you're not real then. You got to show love and respect.
No, I absolutely do not, and I absolutely will not. Moving on. Speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, Brandon, have you ever flown a plane?
No, I have not.
You've never flown a plane? Have you ever been in a plane that your teammate was flying?
Hell no.
Have you ever been in a plane that another football player was flying, maybe not a teammate?
No, and I would never do it.
Why? Well, before you answer that, sit on that for a second.
Okay.
Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Brandon Cooks flew his teammates Micah Parsons and Stephon Gilmore in a plane over the weekend while they were in Seattle. He just got his pilot license, simplify it. And he took them over a very scenic view, and we have the video. Take a look at this. Look how nice this is, Brandon.
Yo, this is dope, but it's also scary.
Look at Micah. He's in the back, big as hell in that little back seat.
All right, so Ashley, what I was looking for, but I couldn't see, and I still don't have the answer to, did he have a co-pilot?
He did not have a co-pilot.
How do we know that?
Well, it says hopefully Cooks can become a co-pilot to the high. It doesn't show that there was anybody in the seat with him, though.
If he had a co-pilot, Gucci.
I don't think he had a co-pilot.
He had to have a co-pilot. I think it's dope that Brandon Cooks has his license.
Can we see the video again? Maybe I can stare at it long enough to see if I can see if he had a co-pilot.
It probably takes, what, 3 years to go through everything, get all your hours, to go up there by yourself. I would be okay with going up with Brandon Cooks or a teammate if there was an experience. When I say experience, I mean 10, 15 years of flying a plane.
Yeah.
If he had a co-pilot.
I'm gonna do the video again and see if I can get a better look at it.
It had to, like, because you got the archer, so Brandon Cooks, he's flying. This person who's filming this had to be maybe his co-pilot. And, like, you know how much money's on that plane? Brandon Cooks, Micah Parsons.
I can't tell. Yeah, I can't tell if there's
Gilmore?
a co-pilot. Well, look,
that's $500 million right there. I know Jerry Jones is sitting here like, what the hell are we doing?
Your boy Russell Wilson has his pilot license.
I didn't know that, really?
Russell Wilson, I believe, knows how
No,
to.
he doesn't.
I can look it up right now,
No,
but I'm
please.
90% sure he does.
Well, I don't know Russell Wilson. He has his pilot's license?
I believe he took.
Interesting. He probably took lessons, but there's no way Russell Wilson has his license.
He's a helicopter pilot.
There's no way he has his license.
Yes, he has. He's been a helicopter pilot for at least a year, and this was in 2018. He's flown Sierra. When he was in Seattle, he flew Sierra over like the Needle and like whatever that's called in Seattle in the helicopter. And he was piloting himself. So now how do you feel? Would you go?
I don't believe it's Cap.
He was flying it. He was literally
Cap.
in the plane. He was in the helicopter flying it himself.
Yeah, but you can have a co-pilot.
No,
I've sat there. I got
him
videos.
And Sierra only.
No,
Yes,
hell no.
I can get the video.
Show me the video.
I'll show you the video.
There's no way there was a co-pilot. Fun story. When I played in New York, I was there for 3 years, lived in Brooklyn. Obviously, Ashley, where's the Jets and the Giants at?
New Jersey.
They're in New Jersey, right? So going out to Florham Park, you're talking about in the morning, it's almost an hour commute. And on the way home, it could be 2 hours. Okay, there we go. Mm-hmm. So what I end up doing when I was in New York, I would take a helicopter to practice, all right? And I was inspired. I fell in love with helicopters. It only takes 45 hours for you to get your license and go up there by yourself and fly a chopper.
He's
hold
flying
on, here's the video.
chopper.
You gotta show. They got it.
Can you see it?
There's a guy right there.
Yes, he has a co-pilot, but he's flying
that's what I'm saying. He's not you.
He flew her over
Ashley,
Seattle.
if you go in the chopper today,
if
you go in the chopper today, you're considered in that same seat. And you can do all of that. Play like you're doing it.
He was actually flying it though.
Cap.
Oh my God. The man has his license.
Cap.
I think that is cool.
Where does it say he has his license?
It's all over the internet. He even announced that he had his license.
I thought I would have my license by now.
He had it for about a year. And Sierra was even documenting him taking lessons when he lived in Seattle and learning. And he's had it for over like a few years now. This was in 2018 he got it.
Okay, all right.
Shout out to him. Just add that to the Russell Wilson checklist of all the things that he has. You know
That's dope. You know, I'm one that believe in zombies. I think that there will be a zombie takeover.
It's called the zombie apocalypse.
Apocalypse, yes, that's right. So really believe in that.
It's so crazy you're bringing this up because I had this conversation with my family yesterday.
Really?
And I was saying that like we were talking about like who would survive the zombie apocalypse, like who would you want on your squad? And I was like, look, you would definitely want me on your zombie apocalypse team because I have the knowledge. I've like watched every season of The Walking Dead.
Yep.
I've watched The Last of Us. Also, I'm strong. Like I work out. I do
How
Pilates.
tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
How much you weigh?
I'm 5'7". Don't ask a woman how much she weighs, but
I thought those days were over.
I'm about 140. But I'm strong. Like I can lift things. I can like. I'm not
giving you strong.
I'm not strong like you, but I'm strong enough to where like I could fight somebody like a zombie and like be able to hold a weapon and fight somebody. I can run.
Nagin.
I can. What do you mean?
Or Keon, can you come here real quick?
Oh my God.
Can somebody just like lean on her and see if she can push you off?
I can totally push Keon off me.
Let's
what do you mean?
Come on, Key.
This is like insane. What do you want? You want me to do it sitting down?
No, yeah, sit down. So he wants to test this strength.
He's higher up than
Key,
me.
just like lean on her like this, right?
So like
no, in front of her.
What?
Don't kick the table. Now just lean on her. See if she can get you up. No, like
what do you
in her
mean?
lap. Yeah, like get up.
What? Oh my God, I have to stand up?
You can't get up.
Wait, I didn't know.
She couldn't get up.
Wait, he leaned on me and I have to stand up?
You have to get up without knocking the table over. You gotta
the table's like whatever.
So like lean on her?
Lean on me and I have to get up. Wait, let me do it like this side. So
no, she's already trying to angle.
Okay, go. Try to lean on me.
Okay. No, Key, like really don't let her up. She's supposed to be strong.
I'm at a disadvantage. It's a height disadvantage. Nobody would even do. If I stood up and he tried to push me, he would not be able to move me.
So you're smart. You've watched all the seasons, and mine is strength. Let's take the strength away.
No, I'm strong. I'm not strong like
Thanks,
you.
Key.
But I do Pilates. I work out, so I can lift things. I can chop things. I can like. I may not be able to like lift a car, but I can lift things.
Ashley,
like, I'm
in season 3 of Walking Dead, you remember the scene when there's a zombie on you land? Like a zombie could be 200 pounds.
That I can like chop it up. I'm athletic enough where I could do that. Like I'm athletic enough where I could fire a gun. Like that's what I mean by that. Like I can't like go in the ring 12 rounds with a zombie, but like I can go ahead and kill one. What? you. And like, I'm an inch
It's a
taller
movie.
than her.
It's a movie.
All I'm saying is like, if the zombie that, you know what, Brandon? All right, you know what? My team's gonna live. Your team, I don't know what's gonna happen to your team.
So the reason why we got on, my team's gonna have a helicopter, and that's why I need to hurry up and
how are you gonna power it? With what gas?
Oh, we're gonna have gas.
Where you getting
There's
it from?
gas.
Once you run out of gas, it's gone.
Did they not have cars and vehicles?
And when they ran out of gas, it was over.
Correct. And we're gonna keep flying until we.
Oh my God.
We're gonna make sure we have what we need.
Okay.
Right. So we're gonna have a helicopter, and we got on this conversation because Brandon Cooks was flying like a prop plane with his teammates. I know Jerry Jones is probably looking at this like, what the hell are we doing? There's $500 million on this plane. Anything can happen. I don't know if there was a co-pilot. And then we stumbled on the Russell Wilson helicopter story. And then we got on this apocalypse. And I'm going to have a plane, a helicopter, and I'm going to survive. And
well, a helicopter is only like for 3 people.
Yeah, but I'm going to take a helicopter to like an island where nobody's there. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be good. We're going to have everything we need.
On the
we're
island?
Gonna be good. Yeah, but like a small island.
How are you going to get the food and the supplies to the island?
On the helicopter, Ashley.
How big do you think a helicopter is, Brandon?
And guess what? They could be big. They could be huge. And guess what I'm gonna have there? I'm gonna have everything I need to start my own little farm, plant my own little vegetables.
On an island?
Yes.
You think you're gonna plant vegetables in sand?
Fruits, fishing, fish. We're gonna eat fish. On an island. An island doesn't have.
It has fish, but what are you planting in the sand exactly? What do you think is going to grow from the sand?
So every island on this planet just is covered in sand.
No, but I mean,
there's no fertile soil.
You would have to map out a very particular island.
Right.
And if you watch The Walking Dead, the zombie apocalypse took over the entire country. It wasn't just Atlanta or Miami.
They're not going to get to Fisher Island.
See, this is what.
They're not going to get to Fisher Island.
This is how you failed, because the whole thing is you're supposed to build your own society. You're supposed to bring in doctors and techs and guys and people who can do things that you can't do, wall it up, and only allow people in and out to go on hunts to go get food and have your own little civilization that you build.
They're going to be on a helicopter.
That's how I knew you did.
They're going to be on a helicopter.
I know you would lose.
They're going to be on a helicopter. Anyways, look.
Someone said, how does this affect LeBron's legacy, though?
All right, we'll talk about LeBron's legacy after this break. We talked about so much news of the day, O'Malley's big knockout, and also Russell Wilson and Sierra choppering around
and the
town.
zombie apocalypse. We'll be back.
We'll be back. So when I first got in the league, when I was in Denver, we had all these. DJ Williams used to be on the show. He was the one passing around the Vialysis.
Cialis and
the Cialis.
That's different.
Whatever it's called.
No,
Cialis, Vialis. But yeah, but we wasn't doing Viagra. So what happens is they was passing them out before the game. We was taking them because when it thins out your blood, energy, and you go longer.
I'm not talking about Cialis, and I'm talking about actual surgery.
Oh, what you saying?
Yeah, like enlargement.
Yeah,
surgery.
that's what I'm talking about, enlargement.
People be really doing that.
Yes.
I ain't know nothing about that.
No, see, y'all, listen. Y'all talking about something that's gonna keep it right for 36 hours.
Yeah.
Nah, his motherfucker taking that shit so they can be that way forever.
Oh my God.
Yes.
In the league?
That's how you get suspended. That's how you get suspended.
People do that in the NBA?
Y'all
6'7", 6'8", I thought like.
What does that have to do with anything?
Is that a pause?
That's a major pause.
I'm just saying.
That's major.
I never heard of that.
He said the shoe size and that size are not clicking.
Ain't no OD.
Let's skip that
Ain't no
part
OD.
right there.
You heard he said, I'm corny.
Let's get back to the basketball.
I'm secure in my manhood. I'm sorry.
Don't have surgery.
This is really happening right now?
Brandon. Like what? Yes.
Bro, let me tell you. Ain't nobody getting suspended for taking Cialis.
But what's the problem? But okay, let's say they doing that. What you say they doing it. What's wrong with that? Why they gotta be suspended over that? If they feel like they need to be.
Because it has something in there.
Yes.
It has a steroid in there.
Ingredient in
Same
it.
way
It's
if
a
you
steroid
take an
ingredient
arrow
in it.
and a
Okay,
pump
okay.
on a steroid
Okay.
ticket.
It's no different than in the NFL. I forget the player, but there was a player who was
I can't think of their names.
trying to conceive with his wife, and she was going through, I want to say, in vitro, and she was going through the fertilization of her eggs, and he was on medication to, I think, increase his testosterone. Wasn't doing it to increase his performance. It was to have a baby, and he got suspended because the ingredient in there still comes up in a test.
You remember what Eddie Murphy said on Golden Child?
What he
They
said?
tried to sell him that stuff to help keep the yang up. What that boy say? Ain't nothing wrong with my yang.
Are you the best defensive player, or are you the best player to ever play football?
I'm not saying I'm the best player to ever play football.
What about
But
defense?
am I the best defensive player? Okay. If not, who?
Brandon?
Reggie White.
Reggie White's a great player, and I put him up there in the same class as myself. Every time I walk into a room, or I pick up a paper or something, it's LT, hey, I see an article, they talk about all these people, and then always at the last, my name always shows up in the last sentence of the last paragraph, just before they say greatest of all time. Okay.
Hey, do you think you could have played in this era?
Yeah, if I didn't want a paycheck, yeah. Kick me out of the game every week. Now, but yeah, I can play in an era. I think I can. I mean, I am rugged enough to play in this era. I don't know. That's a hard question, man.
Could you have cleaned your game up though? The violence, the
It was
aggression.
clean. That was clean as I could get it. I was clean.
Then you can't play in this era. Then.
It might be a problem. It might be a problem. I may have to play a different position. Maybe have to move to the inside, where it was a little easier.
Hello, welcome back to the show, everybody. Now we're gonna dive into some NBA talk. And
Why are you dressing like me before we even get into NBA? Sorry to cut you off. Why are you trying, who told you to wear black today? Why are you trying to be like me, twin? Every day. Who's telling her this?
First of all, I'm like Posh Spice. I always wear black.
Pot Spice?
Posh Spice?
Who's that?
You don't know who Posh Spice is?
No, let me Google her.
You don't know the Spice Girls?
Oh, no.
You don't know the Spice Girls? Come on now. Everybody in here knows at least one. That was Posh Spice. It was Victoria Beckham.
Oh.
Oh, my God.
I know her.
That's Posh Spice.
Name the other ones.
Baby Spice, Ginger Spice, Scary Spice, Sporty Spice, Posh Spice.
That's
Don't come for me.
That's a
I know
problem.
my Spice Girls.
Okay.
Come on. Yeah, but Posh Spice, aka Victoria Beckham, notoriously used to always wear black. That was her thing.
Posh
But
Spice.
while Brandon learns his Spice Girls, we're gonna dive into some NBA talk. Joel Embiid. He could be requesting a trade sooner rather than later, per a report. According to Vince Goodwill, many around the NBA believe that Embiid could ask out of Philly very soon amid all that is going down with his teammate James Harden. Now, it is interesting. A report did come out that Joel Embiid, who recently got married, had some Knicks personnel, upper echelon Knicks personnel, at his wedding. Now, people want to go ahead and speculate, what does that mean? Is he going to the Knicks? There has been talk about him going to the Knicks or wanting to play for the Knicks. So, Brandon, what do you go ahead and make of that? Is Joel Embiid requesting out of Philly something that you see happening? And do you make of anything of him having upper echelon Knicks personnel at his wedding?
So, as the paper route resident NBA expert, I appreciate you tossing it to me first and not giving your opinion. So that says a lot. I appreciate you. You're now recognizing my place in NBA sports talk. I think it is a big deal that, Knicks executives and whoever was there, at his wedding. I think that's a big deal.
Do you?
I need to know who.
I'll go ahead. I believe it was Leon Rose and
what's his role?
Leon, let me go ahead and double check all this though, real quick.
So I think that is a big deal. There's a lot of tampering that happens in sports, and there's fines and there's different things that they try to put in place to, keep these things from that happening.
So yes, it was real quick. It was Leon Rose, who was the president of the New York Knicks, and it was William Wesley, who is like his right-hand guy. Both attended Embiid's recent wedding. So.
Right. Yeah, and that's a big deal. We got to understand their relationship, but
they used to also rep him.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, real quick. They used to also rep him as a player when they were agents.
Right.
So
that's a big deal. Joel Embiid, he absolutely needs to ask his way out of town, like try to get out of town, and not wait until the trade deadline, because that's what some was saying, that he's going to wait till the trade deadline to ask for a trade or take that time. James Harden did it. You need to do it. Even if James Harden came back, it's like you're going to waste this whole start of your career, right? Like you're in the prime of your career. I think the Knicks is a great place because you look at the pieces that they have. It's a really exciting time for the Knicks, but they are like a Joel Embiid away. There are talks as well, like the Miami Heat. They're circling the wagon. But then you have to ask the question, do you take Joel Embiid or do you take Dame Lillard? I don't think you can take both, right, unless you give up your entire team.
So you're believing that Embiid asked out this year?
Like right now, like yesterday, You
think he does, or that's what you want him to do?
Of course. He's a player, right? We talked about this at the beginning of the show, talking about Saudi Arabia and soccer and Neymar, right? Mm-hmm. And when you look at buckets, I think Joel Embiid is a guy that plays for the accolades and also team success, right? He's a guy that wants it all. He obviously money that comes with those type of guys. So when you look at team success, he's not going to get it done in Philly. So why would you stay there? Why are we wasting any time? You're an injury away from your career being over. Every year is putting more wear and tear on your body. You got to find a way to win right now because tomorrow's not promised. Look at his emotion when he won the MVP. Like he said this, he set out to win the MVP and he got that done. He's been trying to get that done for the past 3 years. And he quickly shifted his focus to now it's time to win a championship. I really believe that Joel Embiid wants to win a championship. It's not going to happen in Philly. So why wait? Why wait? If you're Joel Embiid, would you wait?
Do you wait to see how the James Harden situation plays out? And speaking of James Harden, before you answer that, James Harden was interviewed recently by a local news station
on a dirt field.
What
was that about?
It was KHOU, which I believe is Houston. I could be wrong, but yeah, he was in Houston. And they asked him about his current situation in Philly, and he said, quote, "I've been patient all summer. For me, it's just focus on what I can control and getting ready for this season." And he was asked explicitly, does he believe that his relationship with the Sixers is beyond repair? And Harden responded, quote, "I think so." So hearing that, and I think that a lot of people, including myself, have kind of led with the fact or now believe that the issue between James Harden and the front office is money.
That's right.
Is that he was promised a certain amount of money, or he was promised a contract, and that contract has not been delivered on their end for him to go ahead and sign and look over. The Philadelphia front office says that they are moving forward with James Harden. They have no intentions of trading him. They expect to see him at training camp. James Harden says the relationship, I think, is beyond repair. We've heard this story before, not necessarily with Harden, but with athletes. They say a relationship's beyond repair, then they get their contract, and bygones are bygones. Do you think that James Harden is that player or the other kind of player?
I think James Harden is the player that stands on principle. Now, Ashley, when this first broke a couple weeks ago, one of the first things you said was, it feels like this is about money. And I said, I don't think it is. And literally the next day, 48 hours later, everybody was talking about the money. And so I now lean towards, what you initially said, that it is about the money, but I still think there's more to the story, right? Because yes, money does fix things. At the end of the day, it's a business, and you know, you can do everything you in your power to get out of town, but if they keep you, you gotta play or you gotta sit out. And I don't think he'll sit out the entire year. But I think there's more to the story as well, which pushes me to like James Harden's the guy that will probably, you know, stand on principle. Like what is really going on with him and Daryl Morey outside of money, right? I need to know more about those conversations and what was promised, what wasn't promised, because if Daryl Morey's still there and you got to see this guy every single day, you know, showing up at practice, on the team, playing, right? Like, that's an uncomfortable situation for somebody that you lost all respect for.
Well, I hear you saying that, and I heard you say before that.
Especially when there's so many other opportunities.
Right, I've heard you say that before, and I've heard you say before also that it's got to be James Harden or Daryl Morey. But playing devil's advocate here, if there was a conversation the year prior when James Harden restructured and left money on the table so that the team can go ahead, and I believe they used that money to bring PJ Tucker in, and they said, hey, we're going to take care of you the following offseason. If that conversation did transpire between James Harden and Daryl Morey, I hear the whole, like, you gave me your word, X, Y, and Z, and now you're going back on it. I hear that.
Right.
But we can't ignore the fact of what transpired within that year. James Harden was not a conducive part of this Philadelphia 76ers team. In the playoffs, when Joel Embiid was out, James Harden had one good game in a series that could have gone ahead and sent them to the Eastern Conference Finals. He had 6 points, I believe, in Game 7 or Game 6 or both.
Right.
Now, if you're Daryl Morey,
I'm paying him.
Right. But if you're Daryl Morey, James Harden allegedly wants a max extension. But if you're Daryl Morey and you also have to go ahead and back up your decisions to the front office, to the organization as a whole, regardless of what you told James Harden, how do you sit down with the president, with the owner, and say, yeah, let's give this man a max extension for 6 points in Game 7? How the hell do you have that conversation? You can't. It's impossible to make that argument.
You can. It's, hey, it's either we pay James Harden and we keep the Bear in the process together. This gives us the best opportunity. Right? We may need to add 1 or 2 pieces, okay? And here's what I want to do here. So you got this scenario. The alternative is you lose James Harden. We don't pay him because you're right. We all see it. He really didn't stand up and be the James Harden that we thought he would be or he can be or we expected. But if we walk away from James Harden, then we're probably going to lose the process. And if we lose the process, the MVP of the NBA, then what the hell do we have? So now, this whole process that y'all went through over the last 5, 6 years, now you're starting from scratch again and y'all got nothing done, nothing accomplished. Failed. I don't think so. I mean, well, I would say this, I don't think that they'll come out the East. So you may be right.
The process
but you never know what can happen. You know in sports, anything can happen, right? Like, the Celtics, the Heat, who else is in the East? Like, it's not like, oh, we're not looking at the Warriors from 5 years ago. We're not looking at the Chicago Bulls from the 90s. We're not looking at, you know, LeBron and D Wade in 2010, 2011, whenever they got there. Like, this is not a loaded East team. Now, is it competitive? Absolutely.
Right.
So, you know, I don't think they'll win a championship, but it gives you the best opportunity to win. Because what's the alternative? Tell me that. So you didn't pay James Harden. Now in the process saying I'm done processing, I want out. That's probably what he's saying, and I think he's probably already said that.
In so many ways.
So now what are we doing? And that's what
Here's the thing, though. James Harden also has to, I hear you say you want out.
Yeah.
But think about this. You wanted out to... Think about, let's look at it like this too, and James Harden has to have an honest conversation with himself, and it's a hard thing to do when you think that you are a certain type of player or at a certain stage in your career that you're not, right? So let's look at it like this. When James Harden announced via his agent indirectly that he wanted out of Philly, did you see any teams knocking down the door to come get him?
That's true.
Nobody.
It's a tough situation.
Nobody was trying to figure out a trade package with the Philadelphia 76ers. We want James Harden. How can we get him? It was crickets.
Yeah.
He threw out a line. He was interested in Houston. What did Udoka say? It's not going to be a fit here. The Clippers haven't picked up the phone and called for you. So you have this ideology you have this idea, this narrative in your head that you are this player, this superstar player that can demand a max extension or I'm walking, except where are you going because nobody has called for you?
Well, you listen, he has a smart team around him. He's also smart. He knows basketball. He knows the business. And just like the story before, we talked about tampering, and we talked about Joel Embiid potentially having certain relationships with the Knicks, right? What kind of conversations are they having there? James Harden knows who wants him, who doesn't want him, right? His agents and his team, they've been having these conversations. Now, are these teams willing to give up what the 76ers are asking? Probably not. And so now it's this wait out game. And that's what James Harden did when he left Houston. And I told this story before. Houston wanted Kyrie Irving, and they wanted all these pieces. And he said, absolutely not. Aaron Rodgers, the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers made sure that the Jets didn't give up way too much to get him. Remember what the Packers was asking? So that's the situation they're in now. It's not that nobody wants him, it's that no one's willing to pay the price that the 76ers are asking. So now it takes time.
Which is nobody wanting him. Because if you wanted him bad enough, you would pay him. We've seen that before, Brandon. We've seen teams uproot their entire roster to get their hands on a player they wanted bad enough. The Suns did it for Kevin Durant.
But
they uprooted their entire roster for Kevin Durant.
Different situation.
It's not a different situation because it's when you know you're getting a player that you're going to get results from, you're willing to go ahead and take the hard hit. The Knicks did it for Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, but they were in different situations. Carmelo Anthony was still in his prime. KD is still top 3 in the NBA. James Harden is not that.
That is my point. Nobody wants him because of that very reason.
But let's use Aaron Rodgers and the Jets and the Packers, all right, as a example. The Jets, they probably would have given up, a 2 number ones or whatever the Packers were asking. Aaron Rodgers and players, et cetera, et cetera. Aaron Rodgers, right, and this is player power, and this is why I brought up James Harden when he was leaving Houston, when he had leverage going to Brooklyn, where he said, no, this is the package that y'all need to take. I'm not going to Brooklyn. This is not a deal if y'all include Kyrie. So he had the leverage. Aaron Rodgers stood up and said, you know what, if it takes 2 months, which it took around 2 months to get the deal done. He said, if it takes 2 months, that's fine.
Situation. Aaron Rodgers brings results.
The reason why it took time, right, is because Aaron Rodgers and the Jets came together and said, you know what, 1-2 years maybe, right? So why would we give up all of this for you for 1 year?
What I'm saying is we've seen it before, and it has happened before. When you know that you are getting a player that is going to bring results, James Harden is not worth the problem because he does not go ahead and consistently bring you.
He is if you give up a second rounder, or if you give up some slap on the end of your bench.
You have to also.
Sorry
you're
to
not.
call somebody
you're not.
a slap
You're
because you
not
make it to the NBA.
At the end of the day, a James Harden is going to cost a certain amount. It is what it is. But you're not spending that because you know there are no results. And Shams just tweeted out about an hour ago while we were on air regarding the James Harden situation, the NBA probe into this, quote, liar comment. James Harden told league investigators he was referring to Daryl Morey telling Harden he will trade him quickly following the $35.6 million opt-out in the 2023-2024 season. The 76ers stance is now they expect to keep Harden. So it's not about necessarily just the money. It's about Daryl Morey telling him that he will trade him and refusing to go ahead and do such.
Right.
But again, nobody's calling. Where do you want me to trade you?
Well, hold on. Stop. Can you please stop saying no one's calling? Because
Houston said they don't want him.
But there
Clippers
are people.
haven't made a move for him.
It's hard for me to believe, Ashley. It's hard for me to believe that James Harden doesn't understand, doesn't know his market, right? And that's why I went to tampering. Because what happens before you even ask for a trade, not all the time, but most of the time, before you even ask for a trade, your team is already reaching out to the other teams, relationships they have, right?
They did, and they don't want him.
No, it's not that they don't want him. They don't want him at the price that the 76ers have out there.
Now, Udoka did not say it was a money thing.
You tell me the 76ers, you tell me not the 76ers, you tell me the Clippers wouldn't take James Harden for 2?
What I'm saying is Udoka did not mention money once. He mentioned the culture of this team. He has a young group of guys, and James Harden, the player he is now, is not conducive to what he is trying to build. In terms of the Clippers, the Clippers have the assets to trade for him. But yes, they do. You can go ahead and uproot some of your players salary-wise, and it would be a swap. They have enough depth on that roster. They can go ahead and do a swap.
Of course, but we don't know. We don't. Do we even know what the 76ers are? What they're asking for James Harden?
Roughly, there was a rough idea. You would have to. There were some technical. There were some imaginary trade scenarios, but if you're just looking at it for money value. Would you go ahead and trade valuable depth players, role players rather, for a James Harden when you know at some point in the season, let's call a spade, Kawhi's not going to play and Paul George is not going to play. Yeah. And they may not play at the exact same time. Do you trust James Harden enough to hold down the fort while they're gone? I don't.
No, you're right. We don't know what James Harden we're going to get, but what I will say is this. If James Harden, he just dropped 40 twice in the playoffs. Right now, it's not consistent. It's not the James Harden that we saw in Houston in a regular season, but he has a tendency to fold in the playoffs. But if I can get James Harden at the right price.
You mean for low?
For low, for sure. But he's worth right now.
But the issue is that the issue with Philly is he wants a max extension. Philly won't give him a max extension.
Right.
And they told him that he would be traded quickly after opting out. That's no longer the case. So if he's hell-bent on money, exactly where does he think he's going to be traded to, that he's going to get that money based on based on what he has done that is in our last memory?
Again, I think that he understands the situation. Remember where
I don't think he does.
Look what just came out an hour ago, what you just read, that it's more so James Harden told league officials that Daryl Morey promised that he would trade him. He didn't trade him. So it's about that and not the money. Obviously, money's still involved in this. If James Harden wants to go to the Clippers, he knows that he's not getting the max. You have Kawhi, huh?
I don't think he does.
How are you going to get a max when you can't?
You would have to clear out cap space by moving players.
There's no way.
Brandon, it's a trade. You would literally have to move players to
correct,
to Philly,
but you're not going to bring in. You're not going to have Kawhi Leonard as cornerstones of your franchise, and Paul George, right? And bring in a James Harden who everybody knows is struggling and give up everybody else who's contributing to your team.
I know on paper that sounds like realistic, and you would think that a person would adhere to that. But
I'm giving him too much credit.
You're giving him too much credit. He wants to be paid for inconsistency. Think about out of 7 games in that series, he dropped 40, only 2 of those 7 games, and then went missing the rest of them.
Right.
Nobody's trading for that. We'll keep a lookout on it, but I don't see it happening. But what I did see happen, Brandon.
Before you move on.
Okay.
Too early prediction on James Harden in Philly? James Harden plays in China this year.
Oh, wow, okay.
He said it. You didn't even bring that up. You just read all this stuff. Read that.
I'm not reading that. He said one day. I'm not gonna play that game. He said one day. I don't know what one day will be. But
so Philly, China. Daryl Morey, China.
If it's a money thing, he'll make a lot in China.
That's what I'm saying. It could be good. Go over there for 1 year, build your brand even more, get a big bag, and then come back and go where you want to go.
Well,
he might be like Marbury and never come back. Marbury went over to start a whole family.
Marbury's a king in China. They got statues of him there.
Marbury went over there, not only king of China, but he still lives there. He's been done for a couple of years. He got a whole family.
He's like royalty. They have statues of him. It's insane. Yeah.
James Harden may never come back if he go over there.
Yeah, it's crazy. But listen, we're talking about basketball, and we would be remiss to not mention Team USA. They complete a 16-point comeback to beat Germany. Team USA defeated Germany 99-91 to complete a 5-0 record ahead of the start of the FIBA World Cup. But Anthony Edwards was the star of the night because he scored 14 out of his
34 points in the fourth quarter alone, helping USA to a 22-5 run to end the game. He had over 30 points in this game. Like I said, 34 points. And Steve Kerr, head coach of Team USA, said unquestionably Ant-Man, a.k.a. Anthony Edwards, is the guy. Anthony Edwards is going to be so much fun to watch next season. His game just has elevated and elevated each and every season. I'm a huge fan of Anthony Edwards. Right. You know, a lot of people want to know if he continues to play at an all-NBA level, can the Minnesota Timberwolves be a dark horse when we're talking about the playoffs in the NBA? What do you think?
Absolutely. 100%. Ashley, when I saw that we were going to talk about this today, I tried to do some research and I came up short. Maybe tomorrow Wu with our expert fact checker can help me here. But I tried to search players who use the Team USA platform and stage to propel themselves into something greater in the NBA season, right? And I don't know if there is any players, but that's what seems like is happening around Anthony Edwards right now. I think everybody enjoys Anthony Edwards on the court and off the court, and you see the talent. But what he's been doing over these first few games, and you saw Steve Kerr validate that, it's like some next level stuff. It's top 10, it's top 5 player in the NBA type stuff. And so that's what I'm interested in watching is this dude going to propel himself and use this stage to propel himself into like one of the faces, like solidified faces of the NBA. Like how he took over the fourth quarter, he could have did that last year, but he wasn't ready for some reason, or he didn't. So yes, Ashley, to answer your question, if he continues to play like this, and it's like, obviously he has the game. We've seen flashes of this. Like he's had a great start to his career, but next level, it's like a mindset thing. It's like shit, like a confidence, like, oh, I just did it.
He has a very vet mindset, which is one of the things I love about him. I mean, there was a video of him, I believe, going against, I'm drawing a blank on his name, Jalen.
The kid from Houston?
Kid from Memphis.
Oh.
What's his name?
Jalen. It's good enough.
Is it Jalen? No. What is it? Jaren Jackson, Jaren Jackson, and he was going against him, and he said something along the lines, I thought you were Defensive Player of the Year. This is all you got? Like, he is a old school trash talker. Right. If you guys saw Hustle, he's an old school trash talker. His character is very much who he is in real life.
That's right.
I definitely think that Team USA is going to go ahead and win gold. I love his attitude. I love his tenacity. I love his unapologeticness. But I think that why I like it so much is that he doesn't just talk, he backs it up. And it's rare, I feel like, in this day and age, not so much back in the day. Back in the day, I feel like a lot of guys talk trash, but they had to back it up. I feel like a lot of the times now we get like these younger athletes who talk a lot of trash and do a lot of the chit chat on Twitter back and forth, but they don't really back it up when it comes to the court and their game. Anthony Edwards is not that guy. He's going to clown you, he's going to trash talk you, and he's going to make sure you feel it on the court. Anthony Edwards is him. I love it. I'm here for him.
So Ashley, let me read you a list of names, okay? Consider age, consider who's in their prime, who's not in their prime, who's in position to pass the torch to the next guys, the Ja Morants, the Anthony Edwards, right? So I'm going to list out these players, and then I want you to respond on, if Anthony Edwards can break into this elite group, okay? LeBron James.
Too soon to tell.
Steph Curry.
Too soon to tell.
So you're just saying off top.
I can't do that. That's too soon to tell.
It's too soon
We're
to tell?
talking about
what years is for him?
We're talking about 4-time world champion LeBron James. We're talking about 3-time world champion Steph Curry.
But hold on, the reason why I said consider age, consider who's in their prime, who's not in their prime. Because now LeBron James in year 20. We have this conversation about Messi, and I just brought it up earlier. It's like, well, he's like LeBron James. LeBron James is not in his prime. He's averaging 19, 20 points now a game. right? Like in the playoffs, he did at least. I don't know what he did in the regular season.
Yeah, I still can't make that call.
He has to pass the. He has to pass the torch.
I can't make that call yet. When we're talking about world champions, Olympic gold medalists, we're talking about the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the game. You want me to make a comparison?
No, I don't want you to make a comparison. I want you to tell me where's his place on this list of active athletes or active NBA players, right? So right now, I would say that. No, you got LeBron James, you got Steph Curry.
Top 25, top 30 for sure.
Top 25, top 30. Okay,
in the league for sure.
So let me go through them real quick. LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Joker, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Dame Lillard, Luka, James Harden, Jason Tatum.
On that list.
This is the NBA's faces. Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker, Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, Ja Morant, Paul George, DeMar DeRozan.
He's on the list.
So exactly, I think that was maybe what, 15, 20 guys?
But I said he's on the list.
So he's top 15.
I'd say to be on the safe side, I would have to go ahead and do the list in my head, but I would say top 20, top 25.
So can I get messy? You know I like to get messy.
We can't because the show's over. You can't get messy. You're gonna have to wait
till
tomorrow.
Is the show over? Why do y'all tell me real quick? No.
Sorry.
So who you taking?
Can't get messy.
Who you taking? You taking Anthony Edwards or you taking DeMar DeRozan?
I'm taking a break.
She's saved by the bell.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on this Monday. I hope you had a beautiful one, and we will see you guys tomorrow. And Brandon can get messy then. Okay?
I'm coming back with this list.